Thanks for coming back for When I'm Not Podcasting. Please remember to go ahead and subscribe, like, and share if you're watching this on YouTube, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you find this. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, any other places. Well, I don't know if it's on iHeartRadio. Well, maybe it'll be someday once I decide to submit it. Anyways, a couple of celebrities are talking out about journalism. And let me tell you something. Traditional, elite, media establishment journalism is no different than the paparazzi. Except the paparazzi actually gets things right. And one of the things they talk about here, it's an interesting direction because of how journalism is in general. So Russell Crowe and Meghan Markle have both spoken out. I'm going to take Russell Crowe first from thehill.com. Talks about a hunt to kill tabloid journalism attitude in traditional news and social media is not taking us anywhere good. Now, Russell Crowe has recently been talking because he has a brand new movie called Unhinged that's coming out as one of the first feature films that will be wide released after the pandemic as early as next week, or actually August 21st as I record this episode. So in a new interview, he said that tabloid journalism's expansion of traditional news operations along with social media has played a role in adopting a, quote, hunt to kill attitude around reporting and commentary. We're just pointing out that this ultra-violence in our society, Crowe said. My theory is, quote, when you're talking about social media right about the 70s, the language of tabloid newspapers started to drift into the national, larger broadsheets. Started to drift into television news, started to be about part of everybody's mornings when they woke up. These extreme reactions and us talking about whatever a particular event that happened in such extreme ways. And that tabloid hunt to kill attitude when they believe they have found somebody who has, quote, committed a quote unquote sin. Then the inability of the same tabloid language to apologize to that person when they say, oh dear, we've got the wrong target. He goes on to say that this type of language has come into social media where people feel a need to have this hugely angry response straight away. Or they think the way to solve this problem is by having the neatest, zappiest, zingiest put down that deconstructs somebody else's image of themselves. And all of this is not taking us anywhere good. Amen. He's telling it absolutely right. Look, I don't like where the media is going at all. And I have said this before, maybe I have not said it on When I'm Not Podcasting, but I'm going to say it here. When I look at the likes of Deborah Norville and Inside Edition, I look at Lester Holt or David Muir or Nora O'Donnell, that's right, and all the national evening news at 6:30. They are no different than Inside Edition. Shock and awe. They want to project anger or fear. That's all they care about. That's what matters to them. And they have no morals. And it's because they're in their own bubble, okay? They want people that watch the shows, they want everybody to be basically low information people because they're not informing anybody. And they want to reach out to the lowest common denominator of people that might vote or might, vote with their dollars, vote with their votes, vote with, whatever they do. They want to be able to have a stranglehold over what they think and how they believe things, without letting people really think for themselves. And the cancel culture is another big problem here altogether. So it's been like this for a long time in Hollywood media. But now what the Hollywood media has been subjected to, along with the celebrities, one of the things I got to tell you, have we heard a lot about paparazzi really going after the stars as of late? Probably not, because everybody's stuck at home. I mean, think about that. The Hollywood media, all the things that you had, the salaciousness of tabloid journalism, it's got to be taking a hit right now because the celebrities are not out doing anything. They're still under quarantine because they're all in fear of what's going on right now outside of their doors, outside of their mansions. And that's what's going on. Or they're also being subjected to virtue signal or to say things that their management are saying they need to go and say in terms of the Black Lives Matter movement or climate change or whatever they might be. It's what they want to. I mean, how many of them really believe what they're saying? I mean, let me ask you this. Does anybody believe that Taylor Swift, when she's complaining about the United States Postal Service, that she really does care about that? And forgive me for bringing up low-hanging fruit like that. I know I don't want to do that. because for the most part, we're getting a lot of low-hanging fruit, or people just pick at the low-hanging fruit because it's the easiest thing to take on and bash, right? That's what happens here with the cancel culture and the same idea. But what happens is I don't want to talk about the fact that I see certain celebrities acting a certain way on camera, and they have to go ahead and virtue signal. They have to go and show that they're puritanistic, and that they're trying to be such good-hearted people, when they probably don't believe a word of what they're saying. Because I don't know if I want to believe that Taylor Swift is believing what she says, having to go and comment about the U.S. Postal Service. Like, honestly, the politics she's brought up real quick, it feels like it's contrived and scripted. I don't even believe that Taylor Swift even believes that. I mean, she did. Do you think she would actually be putting out anything? Wouldn't you think she would be putting out music that's politically charged? She's not. She put out folklore, a folk album. Okay? Songs like The Great American Dynasty and Cardigan have nothing to do with U.S. Postal Service. What is she going to do? You think she's going to do a song about that? No, because it's going to hurt her career. But they make her say these things. I don't believe this is coming out of her mouth. It might be coming out of her social media accounts. But you know what? Well, sometimes we hear certain things that are being put out there in social media, but honestly, or interviews that she has done. But when have we actually heard Taylor Swift say anything to the sort? Like, I don't see like any interviews with, say, like a Vanity Fair or Billboard or wherever she's talked to. I don't see the actual words coming out of her mouth. So do I believe she believes all this right here? I think she's just being told what her handlers are telling her to say. And you know what? With some of the other stars, when they don't follow along the same path, then what do you expect? I mean, with Russell Crowe, he's kind of gone along his own direction. I mean, he's had his ups and downs, but I mean, his career's been very good, and it continues to go and do well. I mean, it's all fine. And that's what it comes down to him. Now, in this particular story from thehill.com, before I move on to Meghan Markle, they mentioned how 71% of adults, according to a Pew Research Center survey conducted earlier this summer, said they're angry about the state of the country, while 66% expressed fear. This is all the media that does this. Your elite and media establishment, the ones that live in a bubble, well, they're just going to feel like, well, we can do whatever we want to control and program these people that are just layman people that just don't follow along. And low information does not mean they're not informed. They just don't care. They got better things to do with their lives. But then we're also stuck at home in more or less a quarantine unless we are working and moving ourselves along with our lives. That's what's going on here. These are the things that they deal with. Now, Meghan Markle talks about toxicity of journalism for inability to truly find freedom. And by the way, you know she has also been the virtual signaler before, Rachel from Suits. And that's okay. I mean, listen, she has her things she wants to go ahead and be a champion for. And she forces Prince Harry to go ahead and go along the same suit. Well, you know, the Duchess wants to go ahead and say what she wants. So anyway, she made some comments on a Friday interview about the toxicity of journalism is responsible for a search for salacious gossip rather than truth. So they recently had a biography put out called Finding Freedom that details the reasons behind the couple's split from the UK and their royal duties. And while speaking not directly about the book, she claimed the current business climate encourages journalists to focus on something salacious. There is so much toxicity, quote, out there in what is being referred to as, my husband and I talk about it often, the economy for attention. This is what's monetizable right now. So if you're just trying to grab someone's attention, you're going for something salacious versus what is truthful, end quote. And she's absolutely right. Because trying to go the reality show route and just trying to go and find shock and awe to monetize content, that's where people are going. It's like Hollywood gossip. No different. Now, she spoke with a nonprofit group that bills itself as a newsroom that empowers women underserved by the American media, and she was keynote speaker at this group's 2020 summit. She said, quote, from my standpoint, it's not new to see this undercurrent of racism and certainly conscious bias, but I think to see the changes that are being made right now is something I look forward to being a part of, and part of being using my voice in a way that I haven't been able to as of late. But again, that's fine. Go along with your causes. But again, I like the fact that what she said in the early part about journalism being salacious. It totally is. And I'm just showing where Russell Crowe doesn't necessarily subscribe to the whole trying to go and virtue signal, trying to go and be very woke in what his thought process is. I'm saying on both sides, from Meghan Markle to Russell Crowe, they both see journalism being bad. It's not going to get fixed. We just need to call it out for what it is. And I'll talk to you next time.